Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. It's very nice to see you. Just a quick heads up that I am recording, so if you don't want to have your face show, please just switch off your video. So tonight is going to be an hour and a half, maximum of an hour and a half. We're going to start with some panel introductions, then I'm going to give you a bit of background on why I do what I do, particularly on the felt sense and felt photographic. Then I'm going to ask the panel how they found the selection process, and then we're going to view the exhibition, respond to some of the art, and then hopefully we're going to hear from some of the artists about what it's like to have their images responded to from a emotional, somatic, felt place. So if you want to pop in the chat where you're from, that would be lovely. Oh, some more people come in.
Nice.
So just very quickly, I want this to be a safe space, so please be respectful to yourself and others. And remember, you can't get your feelings wrong. Please do not judge yourselves in particular, and please don't pass judgment on other people. So welcome everyone. Italy, Tenerife, Isha, somewhere in the UK, Maine, California, Vancouver, Bristol, Staines. Hi, Hennika. Nice to see you, sweetie. Okay, so panel. Nanette, I'm sorry, I'm going to start with you. My panelist in residence who has been with me since the start of this, the lovely Nanette based in Maine. Please tell us what you're passionate about.
Sure. I am passionate about working primarily with women over 50. I'm a portrait photographer based in northern Maine on the Canadian border. My partner and I have a beautiful vegetable farm. We grow most of our own food. And I primarily work with women and listen to their stories, hold their stories, just help them discover sometimes their own stories through portraiture and writing. And I use the combination because that's what works for me to express myself the best is to work with photographs and writing and how they intersect. So that's the thing I'm most passionate about. And I'm so excited to be here again. And it's a joy every single time. I love doing anything that Kath's got going, I want to be in. But this in particular is just such a joyful process and amazing process. And yeah, thank you, Kath.
Bless you, Nanette. Thank you very much. Yasmin.
Hi everyone. My name is Yasmin Marrero. I am a coach. I'm a facilitator. And I'm pretty passionate about helping people gain access to their own sovereignty, their own agency, and doing so in a way that allows them to do it through and with the body, tuning into like what are the sensations we're having. Um, and I am currently based in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, and that's all I feel like sharing today.
Fabulous. Thank you, Yasmin. Simon.
Hi there, everyone. Yeah, nice to see you all on this new venture for me. What am I passionate about? My dog, my cat, mean a lot to me. We hang out together a lot. I'm passionate about nature. As you can see, I'm sitting out in my office at the moment. I love the sound of birds, and I'm cultivating my wildflower garden at the moment. I'm passionate about keeping company people for their own. Someone put it, Yasmin, I think you put it as agency. I think that resonates with me. Helping people enter their own agency through the felt sense. and I'm a trainer in nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg's work, and Jean Gendlin's focusing and mindfulness. I've been doing this for nearly 35 years. So that's what brings me, and meeting Kat recently. So yeah, delighted to be here. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Simon. Rachel.
Hi, everybody. Very nice to meet you all. What am I passionate about? Well, I think I have some things in common with both Nanette and Simon. I love working with female storytellers, photographers, and authors to help them tell their own stories. I'm the editor of the Royal Photographic Society's Women in Photography magazine, which is called We Are. Check it out online if you haven't seen it. Comes out twice a year, and our goal is to celebrate female photographers around the world. And that brings me a lot of joy to be able to do that. I also work with authors and other photographers to help them tell their stories. And two of them are either have just published or are on the cusp of publishing their latest books. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also a fine art photographer myself, and I specialize in themes such as heritage and memory and womanhood. I have a background as a journalist. I used to work for the BBC for a long time, and also CBC here in Canada. So I really enjoy combining those two aspects of my life now and career, my photography and my storytelling. And so that's kind of where it's all come together now. And I'm very happy to be here and be taking part in this process, and look forward to hearing from everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you. And then finally, Caroline.
Hi everyone. I'm a fan art photographer, and so what I'm passionate about, I think I'm passionate about the storytelling of marginalized women, so women of color, women that have gone through some sort of marginalization, which is probably mostly most women. But my passion is through the self. I found that one of what got me into self-portrait photography is using self-representation as a way to be agent. I hear the word agency quite a lot, and for liberation. And I'm very passionate. I think what I'm really passionate about is liberation in general. And I found art and visual art to be my way of liberating myself. And so I'm also an editor, and I am passionate about giving young people the tools to feel free in themselves and feel free in self-representation. So whether that's through poetry, film, photography, any form of self-expression is what I'm truly passionate about. So I would still consider myself to be an emerging man, and that is something that has given me a lot of joy that I'm also very passionate about, and I'm incredibly honored to be there with so many people that have impacted the photography world and are also as passionate as me. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much. And just by way of context, it's a conscious decision not to have a panel full of photographers, because art is for everyone. So I like to have non-photographers on to give us their perspective. So thank you, panel. I'm really, really grateful that you're all here and you've all given up so much time to take part in this open call. So a little bit of background on why I do this. So I'm passionate about helping people access their felt sense through photography, therapeutic photography. Therapeutic photography is the structured use of images with an intended outcome, and it was pioneered in the early 70s by a fabulous lady called Judy Weiser. She's a Canadian psychologist. And one of the things she says is that the story of any image isn't in the image, it's entirely with the person that's looking at it, and takes into account all their experiences right up until that point. So to a certain extent, it doesn't really matter what the photographer has done, what their intentions are for what they're shooting. Everyone has their own individual and unique experience of it. So the felt sense is a term that was coined by Carl Rogers, the US humanist psychologist, in his client-centered therapy work in 1951. He spoke of an embodied felt sense. And he said it was one of the most significant features in therapy. But it was one of his students, Eugene Gendlin, who Simon has already mentioned, who made it his life's work to share. So the felt sense is our holistic embodied response to any given situation. It's the meaning underneath the feeling. It's the stuff that we can't quite put words to, the stuff we haven't quite formed yet. It helps bring what's in our subconscious into our conscious, and it's kind of like that, to describe it as a portal to your own truth and authenticity. And Eugene so beautifully put it, what is true is already so, and because it's true, it is what is there to be interacted with. So it beautifully reflects back who we are, and it's an opportunity to slow down, feel first, think later. And it's incredibly gifting, as I'm sure Simon could talk for hours about. It helps stuff like personal growth and development, relationships, innovation, decision-making, self-acceptance, and change, whether that's on a collective or individual basis. And it's important because if we can serve ourselves well, we're best placed to serve the world better. And I think it's one of the most beautiful and effective ways that we can facilitate change in the world, by using the felt sense, leaning into that, and changing ourselves for the better, because it becomes exponentially easier to help other people when you have helped yourself. And my journey really with all this started in 2018 when I did a self-portrait shoot. It was my recovery strategy from lifelong depression. It utterly transformed my life and was a catalyst for everything that I've done since. So I do mindful photography, I do mentoring, portraiture, gallery tours, and obviously felt photographic, which is why we are here today. So felt photographic was born out of my frustration of sending in images for open calls and competitions, and always being left feeling a bit cold and frustrated and disconnected. And I worked out that actually I didn't want my images to be judged at all. I wanted my images to be felt. I didn't want to have any technical praise. I wasn't interested in that. I didn't want any scoring of my work. I wanted to know if my work had an impact on the people that were looking at it, and if so, what was that impact? I don't mind what it is, but if there's a strong response, then there's a conversation, and then I know I am having impact and making some kind of difference in the world. And I went out to look for this, to see if I could find an open call that would satisfy what I was looking for, and I couldn't find anything, so I created it myself as an experiment to see if anyone else would be interested in it, and thankfully people are interested in it, which is amazing. So everything is done on the felt sense, from how the panel choose their images to how I arrange the work online in the gallery, and then visitors are invited to park their likes and dislikes at the door, come out of their head, drop into their bodies, and rather than seeing the images, to feel them, and then to notice what's coming up and what that might say about who they are, where they're at, what they need, and what might change as a result of this insight. So dreaming, which we will be looking at in a minute. Dreaming is the 6th exhibition that I have curated, and it's an international photographic expression of our universal human experience of deep processing, manifestation, imagining, and longing. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to have a look at the images. So I invite you to slow down, to take a breath, drop into your body, and just notice which images you're having a strong response to. And do this without any judgment. So you can't get your feelings wrong, and whatever is, is.
Your audio's not on, Kath.
Oh, thank you. Let's hear from the panel again about how they found the selection process. So who'd like to go first?
I'm happy to.
Thanks, Lynette.
This selection process was the most difficult, I think, selection process for me of all of the galleries that I've done with you. I think primarily because there were so many that resonated with me this time through. Whereas I think the last gallery I did with you, we had, I don't know, 150 images, but I really was able to get down to this is the one. And this particular gallery, there were so many. And I think one of the things that I had said to you right after I did the process with you was that it was almost like my brain couldn't keep up because every image or so many images brought up almost like a place, like a deja vu. Like I've been there, or I have felt that, or I mean, there were so many that had so much relevance, I guess, to me in must be in like in my memories or in my cells or so it was really difficult. And this was the first time too that I ended up really grappling with the one that really resonated the most. It was really two at the end. And just such a strong feeling towards so many of them. I love the process. It's always super exciting. And I don't know, it's like nothing else. It's a process like nothing else. And I get excited every single time for it. And I never know what to expect. And this one, even though I felt like dreaming was going to be an incredible subject matter because it could be so many things. It could be daydreaming, it could be night dreaming, it could be dreams someone has for the, I'm so curious about what all of the photographers were thinking when they shot it or when they looked at the image they thought saw, that they shot. But yeah, I just it was an incredible gallery to go through with you, and so many strong images that I really felt um like I said, especially the last two or three that I chose, super deja vu.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nanette. Anyone else like to feedback from the panel about what the selection process was like for them? Everyone has a different response to it. Yasmin.
Yeah, I can share. Thank you, Lynette. What resonates about what you shared was the challenge of like figuring out where you land in the process or like what you're choosing. I had the experience of seeing everything and trying to like stop the chatter of my mind. Even though we had grounded and we had centered and all that stuff, there was still this part of my thoughts that had to do with like, what is that? Trying to figure out what that photo had in it or what that image was of. And I was like, okay, let's not try to understand it, right? Let's not try to like name or label anything on these images. Let's just try to see what we feel. And it took a little bit for that to happen, but once it did happen, I was able to like tune into, okay, where I did have these just feelings from just looking at these images, which ones were they kind of thing. And so the process was like once I was able to like not tune out, but like put on the background that element of trying to understand the image, I wanted to move through the process even faster because I was like, I don't know how long I got until my brain turns back on in the full way. So that was what the process was like for me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Yasmin. Rachel, you...
Yeah, I found it actually quite a freeing process. This was the first time I'd gone through this approach to looking at pictures and sort of selecting images. And I find that when I usually select images for We Are magazine or projects for We Are magazine, I'm thinking about all sorts of things like, well, who is the artist and where did they come from and what is their story and all these kinds of things. And probably a lot of the things that frustrated you, Kat, in sort of going through other judging processes. And what was great about this is that I was just thinking about the image itself, and not just thinking, but feeling. So it was really a combination of the head and the heart, but really just about the image itself. So I wasn't sort of second guessing myself because all I had to go on was the image. So for me, like I say, it was quite a sort of a freeing process. And it was also very quick because it was one image after another. It reminded me, and this is going to sound strange, but it reminded me of, going to, like a police lineup of people and trying to sort of think about, was it this person or that person? Not that I've done that, but it was kind of like, very, very quick. And so I was sort of trying to think, well, what is it that sticks with me, I think is what I'm trying to say. And for me, the images that stuck with me, I sort of felt like they're the dreams that you have that you remember for more than a few minutes when you wake up. I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but when I wake up, sometimes I'll feel like I've had some strange dreams, but I can't really remember them. And other times they'll be very impactful and meaningful in all sorts of ways. And so that's how I ended up choosing the imagery that I mean, it was a hard choice because, as others have said, the quality of the work was really strong. But the ones that sort of really stuck with me were like the dreams that sort of made me think and stuck with me for, for the rest of the day rather than just a sort of a fleeting moment.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Rachel. Caroline. Is she there? Are you there, Caroline? Oh, Simon, do you want to feedback?
Yeah. I've not done anything remotely like that before at all. So it was really new for me. And I could see how my judging mind was trying to get in there to find some reassurance, some kind of safety in my decision making. And just dropping back into my body and trusting that, well, what was coming from there was really what was needed and wanted, Yeah, it was tough because there were a lot of good images. I really enjoyed them. And some I didn't enjoy, but I had a huge impact. They did affect me a lot, you know. And what I found was at the end, I think Kat left me with 10 images. I had to find the last one, the number one. I took ages. It's almost like, and I just sat with them and I just let them permeate me. And eventually, after being reminded a few times, I did get back to Kat and say, yeah, the one has come forward, So I found it really quite revealing in a way, how I see the world and what influences me at a deeper level. And actually, there's also a lot of not knowing in there. I really don't know how I operate on a certain level, to be honest, So there's a bit of a mystery in there. So, yeah, anyway, thanks for listening.
Nice. Thanks, Simon. Caroline, are you there? I've lost you. She's having trouble.
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, brilliant. Yes, would you want to quickly feedback?
Lovely.
Sorry, go on, off you go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I really resonate to what both Simon and Rachel have said. Rachel about the idea of it being a freeing experience, and what you said, Simon, about the subconscious, essentially. I think for me, it felt like I was the one being judged almost. It felt like as it changed my perspective of what a jury is supposed to do, because normally when you judge, when you're part of a selection process, you are it's all about the participants, and as you said, the stories and whatnot. But it felt more like an inward process. And as you said, Simon, for me it really tapped into my subconscious. I think as I was choosing the images, the concept of my inner child, I felt like calmed up quite a lot. And now that you mentioned the concept of deja vu, and I really relate to that, for me it felt more like childhood memories that felt distorted. And there's a lot of I think the images, I think at the end I've chosen 5 images, and when I looked at them, they almost like they're part of the same stories almost. There's like a thread or theme, and I wonder what it says about me. I really like how the whole process felt a bit like a therapy session, to be honest. There was something very intimate and very disarming as well, because yeah, you do have to quiet your mind, and you do have to stop judging yourself and not think about okay, am I wrong for liking this image? Or, is that the right image? What does the word dreaming mean in that image? So it's really all about how it feels in the body, and it feels counterintuitive from everything we are taught, whether in school or at work. It really asks us to stay focused on our body and to trust our senses. And I think that was, to me, what stayed with me in the process, is trusting my body and trusting my senses. So yeah, I think that's what I'm taking from that.
Amazing, Caroline. Thank you. And just to let everybody know, the panel choose between 3 and 5 images to go into the exhibition, and I have that deliberately so there's a bit of wiggle room if there were less that they had a strong response to. or slightly more, then we've got the flexibility to go with whatever they end with. And then I asked the panel to just pick one to come and talk about that they want to talk about this evening. So that was what that's about. So let's, without further ado, let's talk about some art. So let's start with, this is, Nanette, I'm going to begin with you again, sweetie, if that's okay. This one from, can everyone see that? Adriana. So Nanette, tell us about your response to this one.
Wow, just even looking at it again right now, I really feel teary and emotional, and like I have a big like lump in my throat. Um, I think it's me. I think it's me. And it's me like in my dream state, oftentimes I feel like I'm, trying to get away from something or I'm trying to get to something. It feels to me like she's doing that. But and she's in the dark and her head is down and she doesn't really know exactly where she's going, but she's feeling her way through. And whew, like I'm getting just shivers all over again, just looking at this image. It's just it's visceral for me, and I'm sure it's because I see myself, and I love that the photographer didn't put the person's face in, and I think that that's brilliant because it can be any of us, right? And yeah, the movement, the mood, the dark, everything about this image is just so powerful for me as, a woman, whether it's in my dream state or it's in my, alive, daily state. It's just, I guess that's all I can say is just, I feel this just about everywhere in my body.
Nice, thank you, Nanette. Does any of the other panel like to respond to this image?
Yeah, I can go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Caroline.
Yeah, okay. Okay. To me, I feel like when I look at this image, it reminds me of a womb. It feels like she's trying, again, the concept of escaping, but escaping there's something womb-like about it. And as you mentioned, Nanette, I like the fact as well that there is a form of anonymity, so it could be really anyone. What to me stands out is the femininity of the image. It's a very feminine image. Not just through, obviously it's a woman, but through the movement, the curves, the way that she's kind of curved into herself. And you wonder, is she trying to escape? Is she trying to make space for something else? And it feels like it's me as well. I really with some other image, I feel like I wanted to give the characters in the image a hug or something, but it felt like this one, it feels visceral. It feels like it's stepping into something almost ancestral. And I think for me is the idea there's something rooted. There's almost like I see dirt and a womb, and so there's something very ancestral, very deep in the body, deep in the lineage that I found very powerful in the image.
Brill. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, I feel this one quite deeply. I find it actually quite confusing. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, which I love. So there's so much here for me, and I'll probably spend more time sitting with it. But yeah, it's a very powerful image, and I'm very delighted to say that Adriana is with us. And Adriana, would you like to just unmute yourself and let us know what it's like hearing the responses on your work?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, the first panelist who spoke, there was a huge release. there is resonance with both felt experiences of the image. It's also really interesting because when this image was created, I'm not sure if the model is here, she intended to show up. There was no set intention behind the image in and of itself, and yet the escape, the rebirth, the lineage energetics behind the image, they are there. And so I don't know whether or not you can see because the lighting is not great, but there were some tears. So yes, the experience of hearing the three members of the panel speak of the image are very resonant with my experience of the image itself and the experience of my work. I don't see it as mine. I see it as, again, there's a lot of resonance with members of the panel in the felt sense perception of life, the universe, and everything. So yes, I don't know if there's any questions you'd like to ask beyond that, but that's the best I can do right now.
No, that's lovely. No, amen to everything you said. And I love the fact that, you created it, didn't know why you were creating it. And for me, that's one of my passions being a photographer is you have an idea in your head or you have this need to go and shoot something and you don't need to know why, and you don't need to know why for ages. But to get that creativity out and get that self-expression out is really healing, just for ourselves, let alone anyone else who might view it. So thank you.
Yes, for sure. It's I would say that there was no specific intention for this shoot. And very much like you, Kat, my experience has been that of transmutation through photography, both for me and the person sitting across from me. So I don't know whether or not you would be of interest to the panel, but part of this photograph, and that maybe will make this a little bit more rational, but I don't think you want. I think you will affirm the felt sense of connection to the image itself. Is work with women who have experienced domestic violence or domestic abuse. And so through that, there's that escape, the sense of escape, and also rebirth, the sense of, yeah, it's just I completely connect with what the panel has shared. It's deeply resonant. It has offered release and affirmation of the energy around a lot of the work, and in particular of this image, because it's not one I rationally, my judgmental mind does not love this image. And there's a series of other images from this series, rather, that I would have put forth as in aesthetically or in perhaps would create more positive felt reactions, so far as I'm concerned. But this one was certainly one that has resonated for me and others in a very visceral and similar way as to that it was resonant for you also. So thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Adriana.
Not at all. Thank you.
Sorry, Nanette, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say thank you for submitting it and not choosing one that maybe you thought was going to be, a prettier image. I'm just thrilled that you submitted this image and for the work that you're doing and that you're here today to talk about it. And I really appreciate all of those pieces. So thank you.
Yeah, amen to that. Thank you very much, Nanette. Right, let's look at another image. We're going to look at Tal Bushells, this was chosen by Rachel. So Rachel, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, I love this image. I think it's mysterious, it's ambiguous. I think it has a sense of possibility. Um, it's simple and it's clever and it's complicated all at the same time. And it makes me think and it makes me wonder and put myself in the picture. And um, I spent a long time looking at this, and I'm kind of asking myself, what am I really looking at here? And perhaps Tal can tell us. I hope so. Or maybe I don't want to know actually. Um, but maybe is it a portal to the sky? Is the sky reflected? Why is the sky in a box? Am I in a box or am I on the outside of a box? I really don't know. But actually, does any of this matter? I think the reason this appealed to me is because, it felt like it was a window to a sort of like an infinite world. There was a feeling of airiness and lightness. It's spring or maybe it's summer. We don't know where or when. I'm sort of focused on the sky, but I also appreciate the reflection and the lightness of the image around the sky. And I think that even though there's a lot of hard and straight lines happening, I think the way that the image is put together, it adds to a sense of, excuse me, adds to a sense of possibility rather than confinement. It sort of, makes me think it's like a box of wonders, maybe, or it's the other side of the wardrobe for people who are Narnia fans. And you just don't know what awaits on the other side. So in terms of a dream, it's kind of like the beginning of something, and without any conclusions. And I think that's the sort of the ambiguity of it and the mystery of it is really quite appealing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Rachel. Anyone else in the panel like to respond to this image? Simon.
Yeah, I think Rachel, hard act to follow on that. It catches a lot of what captured me, but it took me a while as I sensed into it. I've only actually on this session picked up on that. But what came to me earlier was the word timelessness. There's a timelessness with it. And I think you use the word infinite. Certainly, on the other side of the wardrobe is really something that I connect with in my heart with that. Mystery and possibility is another word. So, yeah, it's just all that. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Simon. Anyone else? Well, I found this image really intriguing as well. I don't know whether to lie down in front of the window, if that is a window, or throw myself through it. It does feel really expansive, and it feels like, for me, it feels like when I'm going through a period of change, and it's standing on the edge of a precipice and not wanting to jump but needing to jump, being scared of jumping but having to jump anyway. And actually, what I'm jumping into is something much better than perhaps where I've been. So this to me is freedom, and I think that's part of the genius of this image, is it that Tal is giving me a sense of freedom when we're looking at it from a confined space. Well, that's how it feels to me anyway. So yeah, thank you very much. Right, let's have a look at another image.
Is Tal here?
Yeah, he wanted to just listen to the feedback rather than
Okay.
come on. Yeah. Okay, so let's do Caroline's image. Caroline, would you like to kick us off?
Yes. Just even looking at it again, there's something in my chest. I don't know why. It's just this image just captivates me. I there's something about there's so much sadness and there's so much ache and so much grief in this image, and you wouldn't probably intuitively associate it with dreaming. But for me, I associate it with this moment between dawn, like the crack of dawn, where you are kind of like halfway through maybe a nightmare and you are looking up towards something maybe happier. And but at the same time, you're still kind of in this in between space between maybe a nightmare, between what follows the nightmare, whatever that is. Um, there is so much there's so much like paradox in this image. There's agony, but there's also a form of like a quiet hope, almost like as if the person, the woman, I'm assuming on the image is saying, what could have broken me actually didn't. It almost did, but actually didn't. And there is something, yeah, in this image is just it just hits me through my chest. Um, yeah, I don't know what else really to say. I'm just kind of taken aback again by the image. If the artist is there, I would love to hear from from their perspective. But I think for me, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's something that I feel very viscerally in me. This image is just, I just find it incredibly arresting.
I love that you can't find the words. For me, that's when we're on the edge of something very, very special. When we don't have words to describe what an image is doing to us. I love that, and I think that says everything about the power of this photographer. So thanks, Caroline. Would any of the panel like to respond to this image?
I'd like to just say I love this image too. It feels to me like it's beauty. To me, it's beauty. And it feels to me like she's in stone. Like I feel like I'm looking almost like at a sculpture. Like the form of her face, and there's just so much beauty that I feel like an artist might be like, I'm gonna make this such beautiful, beautiful face into a sculpture. And also the way that they made the image like grainy and almost stony. I really, really love this image. I think it's beautiful.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, Yevgisha is here, so let's get her on so we can hear how she found this feedback. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, that's great. Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for the panel and for the project. I think that your way of looking at judging art is really great, because I feel that there is no judge to art, how it actually should be. Yeah, and thank you very much, panelists, for speaking about my art. I was so amazed and, I don't know, even horrified a bit, because Caroline, you were talking about the exact feelings that I had during making this photograph. We were talking about death with my model, and how our life will be really short, but in the same time, this was such relief because of this realization. So yeah, it's grief and moments before dawn as well. So yeah, I'm really glad that I had an opportunity to encrypt these hard feelings in such abstract cipher, so someone will understand it. Yeah, so thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Yevgisha. Fantastic. Thank you for coming on and feeding back to us. So I'm going to try and, yeah, we've got time for another 3 images. Brilliant. So let's do Yasmin's image, which is go.
So this image was pretty interesting to me. It reminded me a lot of the sensation of having something actually thicker on your skin that it's still liquid. So like a lot of my cousins would play with slime a lot. That was like the new thing for a while. And when looking at this, instead of just being, first off, the color of it, I was like, ooh, yes. Like it just like pulled me in. But then it was like the ability to feel really what that dimensionality was because of that, like familiarity with slime. Um, it brings up like a childlike wonder for me. It brings up um like I'm already smiling in response to it, just because of the fact that it reminds me of water, and I have such beautiful memories with water. I love being in water and things of that sort. Um, and I think that it also, there's this element of like fluidity for obvious, because I keep mentioning water, but there's a level to which it makes me feel fluidity in a way that I don't always get the chance to experience if it's not like actually tangibly on my body. So that's why this was one of my picks. This was my pick, if you will.
Brilliant. Thank you, Yasmin. Any more responses from the panel?
Can I add one more thing, Kat?
Yeah, sure.
I think the other reason this made me I chose this one in particular was because, a lot of the images can evoke these kind of like deep, deep feelings that are sometimes heavier, right? Like some of the images that have been shared today, I'm like, oh, this makes me feel, but this makes me feel in like a deep way. Whereas this feels like much lighter and like that level to which it reminds me like art doesn't always have to make you feel grief or pain or darkness or things of that sort to still make you feel. And so I just wanted to add that point too to this one.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. And I completely agree. That's a lovely thing I found about using the felt sense is when you tap into a positive emotion, it seems to expand and make the positive emotion last longer, and difficult emotions, it seems to dissolve. So yeah, it's a very, very wonderful thing. I get expansiveness with this image, but I get it sideways rather than a forward motion like I did with Tao's image. And I find that really interesting because it's so close up. Yeah, it feels very fluid and natural and easy. So yeah, no, I love it. So Stella is with us. So let's get Stella on to tell us about her image. How are you, Stella? Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that the image bring you guys this kind of peaceful, light, this kind of feeling. Actually, funny thing is when I took this picture, it was a sunny day and I have a cup of tea in a beautiful cafe outside. And this is just when I stirring my tea and the reflection of the sunlight on the tea surface. And I just I saw that, and I just had this strong instinct that I had to capture it. So yeah, it's actually just coming from that. It's very, there's no intention. I am not planning to doing anything that day. It's just enjoying my tea, enjoying the beautiful day. So yeah, I think this is quite connected to the feeling that Yasmin feel as well from the image. So I'm really glad to hear that. I feel this sort of connection from this through my work, and thank you.
Amazing, Stella. I love that it's a cup of tea. How great's that?
Yeah, and so I add a bit sugar in the tea. It's actually like a strawberry tea or something like that. I forgot, but the color is amazing, so beautiful. And when I stirring it, it just create this kind of pattern and the layering of the different colors of the redness. This kind of color, and then I just oh, it's so beautiful. And I just pick up my phone and literally think that, okay, I'm just gonna keep stirring and keep taking picture of it. I have to capture this moment. Yeah.
Nice. I love that. That noticing of that. It's beautiful. Thank you very much, Stella.
Thank you.
Okay, and then let's look at Simon's image, which is Erica's. Oh, you're on mute, Simon.
That might summarize it very well. I think it's contextual, this, to the other pictures, actually, the other bits of art. Such variety that were offered. Kind of was painting different bits of my soul, almost. It was the reflection of my soul. Some of those pictures were, for example, the peacock one, which was in the mist, and then those chairs in the background. And there's something, anyway, there's a lot of variety. And this one was very outstandingly, very different. And right now I'm just sensing into that, having looked at it a fair bit. And what's immediately apparent is space, just all this space. The drama's happening within this universal context. And I really love that. I really feel that in my whole body, this sense of spaciousness. And then there's something very beautiful here, and there's something very tragic at the same time. The tragedy is for me, the sawn off limbs of the tree. And the young woman, or it appears to be a young woman, looking up almost in a kind of reverence. She's looking up in reverence, and she could be death, dressed in black. I don't know if she is or isn't, and that on the trunk, you've got that white aperture on the left where the bark is seemingly stripped away. It's almost as if she's going to walk in there in a moment. I don't know, but yeah, it's a visitation. There's some reverence going on. There's some apology going on. There's some transmission of beauty, but there's the tree. It's a bit like, okay, I'm an environmentalist. I see through that lens. I think that's what's going on partly here. The devastation of the world, much of it at least, the sawn off limbs, they're very purposefully cut off. And it's like a death, actually. It's like a death of nature. And so there's a lot of grief in there for me. There's also a lot of beauty in the meeting of that grief, and the youthfulness of the woman. So it's a of deep contrast, actually. And yeah, that's it really. I mean, there's a whole lot more, but right now that's what's coming into me. And and the other thing is they're both supine, they're both still, they're both static. About that, there's a deep meeting between them. That's what it seems like, you know, and that there's a mystery in that. I think I'll rest it there. I'm sure there's a lot more that would come from my heart given more time.
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, I hadn't noticed the bark stripped away, and I love your thought about her maybe walking into it. I think that's beautiful. It's quite agonizingly beautiful, I think, this image. So thank you. Would any of the other panel like to feedback?
Yeah, I'd like to add a couple of things. Simon's captured it really well, I think, and it is an extremely beautiful image. I mean, obviously our attention is drawn to what's happening in the foreground, but I'm also curious about the trees in the background, which are still living and with all of their limbs intact, and this sort of idea of reverence, or maybe some kind of funeral or memorial. It sort of makes me wonder what the relationship between the tree in the foreground is and all of its relatives in the background. And perhaps there's a sense of mourning and loss among those two. Obviously, I'm sort of anthropomorphizing trees, but I think we know that trees have their own sort of social network these days. Also, I'm intrigued by this. It looks like a path, or maybe some kind of dip behind the tree, and sort of, is that leading to things or away from things or dividing us? I'm not too sure. But yeah, there's actually it's sort of very simple, but at the same time, there's an awful lot going on in this image, which I think is worth spending a lot of time with. It's very beautiful.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Rachel. Any of the other panel? Nanette, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said, and I feel like it's a very complicated, deep image. It feels to me like they're having a conversation, that there's a conversation happening. There's almost, I don't know, animation or something, even though there's stillness. But the other thing that really grabs me is the new growth, and the new growth that I do a lot of tarot. And on the wands in the the deck of the wands, the new growth always is very important, and that's what I see the amputations, but I also see the new growth, which feels positive, a positive piece for me when I look at this image. But it's an amazing image.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nanette. Erica's not with us, unfortunately. But we are going to look at one more image, and it's Ellen's. Now, I know this was on your list, Nanette, wasn't it? And you had struggled to pick one. But I was wanting to talk about Ellen's image. Ellen has had at least 2 shots in past exhibitions, and her work really touches people. So I'm really glad that she's here this evening. So we'll get her on in a minute. But Nanette, do you want to respond to this?
This feels like the dream of home to me. I'm a big ocean person, and I'm a big sunset person. And this feels like a place on the ocean at sunset. That's what I see. The blue to me can be sky, but it also can be water. and it just feels like dreams of home. And it feels very emotional to me. Really beautiful. There's a light on in the window. They're waiting. The home is waiting. I just love this image. I just think it's so beautiful. This is an image that I would have on my wall to look at every single day. It just the colors, the home is floating. You don't know, like I said, I don't know exactly if it's water or sky or a combination. And I just love this. It just all I can say, it's like dreams of home. That's how it feels.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Nanette. Any other panel would like to respond to this image?
I can share. I feel like the way that the light is reflecting, like we can see the structure of the house, but the way that the light is reflecting is like, wait, what is up and what is down for me? It's a confusing image. Like I'm like, what? I can see the house. I'm seeing the house, and what I feel is like kind of like wanting to turn almost, right? Like as I'm looking at this in this image, and yeah, for me, I think I like this image upon seeing it today, because what I feel is confusion, but also kind of like, oh, this is nice to be this confused.
Mm. It's definitely a nice confusion, isn't it? Mm. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Anyone else on the panel like to say anything about this image?
Yeah, I would like to add something. So, there's a word in Welsh that I really like. It's called hire, and it's a word that does not have any English translation, and it's meant to translate a feeling of grief that, but you don't know what you're grieving, or you're grieving a home that you never had, or you're grieving a place that you've never been to, or a relationship that you've never had. And when I look at this image, this is what it reminds me of this concept of this faraway home that could either be the structure, so the building of a home, but also the concept of a home. And that's what it reminds me of. And I think there's something deeply healing about it. Um, like, to connect with the word here, which is a beautiful word, um, there is a grief because it's realizing I'm grieving something that I've never known, but there is a hope that I can potentially create that space, that relationship, that person that I'm grieving. And so that's what I see in this image. There is a duality between hope and between grief, but there's a duality between distance because it feels very distant, but at the same time it feels very close. And there is this huge ambiguity of what is home. Is home the structure, or is home the concept of it? And I think it almost feels like a double exposure of
Oh, we've lost you, Caroline. Matt, your sound's gone for some reason.
oh no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, well done.
Okay. So that I was just to finish off that tension between that faraway dream and that at the same time feeling not so distant. That's how I feel when I look at it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Caroline. Okay. Ellen, where are you? Would you like to? There she is. Hi. How was that,
Hi.
hearing all that?
So I love hearing that. And so, for instance, the idea of grief, I see it as a meditation on impermanence. And so part of it is, I mean, it's this moment that I happen to catch that, but the next moment it's gone. And so that's part of what grief is. It's impermanent and fleeting. And again, it's like a prayer. It's there and then it's off on the wind. And so, Nanette, was it you who mentioned the light in the window? Because to me, that's almost everything, that backlit light. And it is at the ocean but I've turned away from the ocean to the sky. So, and the other thing somebody said, Carolyn, it might have been you. So what I'm trying to move to in my photography is work that is healing, emotionally or physically. And I feel like maybe this fits into that. I have a friend who had a friend dying, and she looked at two of my images and said that she, family, and coworkers found it very soothing and healing at a time when there was nothing they could do for their friend. And if any of my images can help in any way, that would be the best of all. So thank you for all the feedback. That was wonderful. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you very much. Okay, would anyone here like to feedback on some of the art or have any questions for the panel? Okay, well, we will finish it early then. So just to let you know, I'll have another open call next year. No idea what it's going to be called yet, but stay tuned for that. I am co-running 2 workshops and running one myself this month. If you're on my mailing list, you would have seen an email this afternoon. So I'm doing a mindful photography workshop next Thursday in response to the exhibition. And then the following week, Nanette is doing a inspired writing workshop. And then the week after that, Kay Scorer, who is here, hi Kay, is running a somatic movement workshop. So if you'd like to go to those, I will be putting them on social media, or if you're on my mailing list, you would have had it. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Really appreciate it. Thank you to my panel, who are amazing, for all your time. And yeah, thank you for everyone for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.